All right, I think we're up and running. This is going to be lecture number 12. I haven't mentioned it in a while, but this is, what we're doing here for anyone that's newer is every week I'm taking a game out of the Kiseido book Invincible, which is the games of Shusaku, and we're reviewing them. We're just going sequentially. This is game number 12. Um, Anyone that saw the previous one, uh, lecture number 11, will know that it was kind of a short game where Ito Showa made a reading mistake and died in a capturing race pretty early on. And this game was played immediately after that. At least that's what the book said. I don't know if that means like the next day or like they literally just started playing another game. Um, but probably Ito Showa wants to prove something after that last game. Yeah, so let's just get started. Most of you can probably guess where the first move's going to be. This is where it has always been so far. White plays the normal move for that time as well. Just all normal. So far, exactly the same as the last game. Um, I've mentioned it over and over, but I think it's worth mentioning again that black is not under any obligation to answer in the top right because it's even up there, just one stone against one stone. Black can take the open corner. It's fine. White approaches. So still the game is exactly the same. And in the previous game, we saw Shusaku play his famous Kosumi, which is essentially the Shusaku Fuseki. This time he decides to do something different. Um, Maybe he just doesn't want to have the exact same game as last time. So he encloses here instead. Last game was like this. Oh, by the way, before we go any further, I want to mention that the commentator for this game is our favorite guy again, Miyamoto Naoki Nindan. And so there's tons and tons of diagrams and really long variations and stuff. So just as a forewarning, it won't surprise me if this lecture goes 2 hours or maybe even a little further than that. But I think it's really interesting, so stick around if you can. So black encloses here, um, and this gives a lot of influence towards the left, right? Black can extend over there or can approach and make something really nice on the left. Also wanted to mention, oh yeah, I was joking about that. Um, yeah, I was telling Honey earlier that I procrastinated again and I didn't really prepare for this until this morning, but I think it should be okay. So white actually just plays here, which is a nice enclosure, and it also neutralizes the left side, right? Kind of neutralizes what black was doing over there. And so that means that Shusaku gets to play as Kosumi anyway, which is kind of nice. Um, we discussed in the last game some of the purposes for this move. It raises the right side up to the fourth line, um, which prepares like a nice pincer at B. It also prepares to push white low with C, possibly get some influence. It also prepares like a pincer over there. And it also stops white from, pressing black low or doing some sort of pincer. So it does a bunch of things. Um, and now in this case, white actually plays a Kosumi also, which you're not likely to see this probably ever again in pro games. It's an old Joseki, not really considered Joseki anymore. More normal, even for that time, would have been here um, to stop that extension, right? Black made something high, and he's ready to pincer, so this would be usual. Um, but white plays here. So what are we going to do with black? Yeah, Griffin, I'm waiting for the first lecture we make it through. Or someone doesn't mention the helium voice. R9. Good, Ruckus. Yeah, we don't want to let white get both of those, or suddenly it's really hard to feel that great about these two stones. Yeah, so white actually took the spot where black would flatten white a little bit, and so black is going to take this, which is pretty nice. It's, how many spaces is that? 5-space extension, which is pretty ideal. It's also a loose pincer on the R3 stone. Now notice, maybe this is worth talking about a little bit. When we do pincers, we usually, we talk about a 1-space, a 2-space, or a 3-space pincer, and that can be low or high. Whoops, I'm messing all my marks up. So low or high, there's essentially 6 choices. Any further than that, and it's not a real pincer because white will have room for a 2-space extension. So Griffin, you think it's too far from, okay, too far from black, like for extending, or too far from white to be like an attack? From the triangle group? Actually, it's fine. It's 5 spaces. That's what we actually want, right? So if white comes in there, actually, let me click a move before I screw the tree up. It's 5 spaces though, right? So like, even if I give white 2 moves in a row, he can only get a 1-space extension. So yeah, that's a good way of saying it. It's Samna. Black would be happy if white invaded because black's prepared over there. And also notice that he does the loose pincer because that means he's more interested in the extension and not so much in the attack. And since the pincer is loose, that also means that R5 has some time. White doesn't have to answer immediately. Also, probably mention that the Joseki dictionary showed this as being the reason that white doesn't play this way anymore. Black can actually just attach immediately, and there's different variations, but I guess the pro consensus is that black gets a nice thick position here. Usually see it as a mistake. No, there's different cases where you can use the loose pincer. In general, a loose pincer is good for like defensive purposes. When you play a really tight pincer, white jumps out, and then your pincering stone is close to white, so white can sort of get a counterattack on it. So sometimes even when you're not extending from a position, C can be a really nice defensive pincer that won't get into a lot of trouble. So white actually makes an exchange here because he doesn't want black to get that attachment that we saw earlier. So there's going to be a ton of variations here, but let's look at a couple things. First, notice that black doesn't play here. That would be a misuse of this R16 stone. Since we have R16, we can actually jump ahead, right? And we don't have to worry about white pushing at A. So this is making R16 efficient. But let's try and understand why white wants to make this extension or this exchange. He actually does this, and then he plays, actually I'll leave that for later because I want that to be a question. So essentially if white doesn't do that, black's going to attach here. And let's see how this can go. This is why I love Miyamoto, because he kind of goes on these tangents and shows a bunch of stuff, but you can really learn different things from him. So here, black gets a pretty nice thick position, so that's pretty good. Now where it gets really interesting is what happens if white keeps pushing. In that case, black can cut. And now we're going to get into some interesting variations. Where's the next move for black here? Probably most of the stronger players know. Common Suji here. Oh, 178. That's not on my board. Oh, 18. Good. Yeah. Yeah, this move, it aims at a tiger's mouth or, continue against these two stones. So this is the move black will play, and let's see what will happen. There's essentially two things white can try here, A and B, so let's take a look at them. This is sort of the proper way. Let's say white Ataris, black connects. Now white can clamp here. Black has to capture. Atari, connect. A little clumsy for black there, but the thing is he's going to get this Hane, which is really nice. Now, if I hadn't seen this in the book, I would be inclined to think this was somewhat even for both sides, but Miyamoto thinks this is good for black. This Hane is really nice. Yeah, let's look at that descent. I want to take a look at that. Yeah, so you might be wondering, okay, what if I do this? Now white's going to connect, and it's going to be like a battle situation. And yeah, there's not enough liberties, so there's going to be like one liberty short. Okay, so that's that way. Now let's look at B. This is like the super overplay way, but this is really fun to see how this works. Black's going to get his tiger's mouth. Yeah, happens every time. Black has to cut, right? And white has to help a single stone. What are we waiting for, Ruckus? Yeah, there's a ladder. Good. N18 first. I don't think so. There's still approach moves. Like when you do N18 throw in, it actually might make the approach moves worse. But yeah, it's not gonna help. So where's the ladder? Atari, 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 Atari. That's the ladder. So black has this ladder. So these are dead, and probably the A stones are dead too. So white can't do that. But Miyamoto shows an even cooler diagram. If black doesn't have the ladder, let's pretend black doesn't have that ladder, then he can push here. And this is where something really, really crazy happens. White will play here, and it turns into a really crazy variation, which we'll see in a second. And Miyamoto doesn't actually show this variation, but I want to show why white plays here, because this looks like the more normal move. So let's try and look at why this doesn't work. Atari, Atari, Atari. Oh yeah, we can do that. Good point. We can Atari here. So let's say white plays Atari there first. It doesn't make a big difference, but let's do that. Not a ladder in this case, but this is Sente, right? Because black's about to cut, and then he can kill two stones, and that would save the B stone. So white's got to respond to that. And now Atari. And now we need a move that creates Mii to capture A or B. Where's that move? K14? K14, probably not. K14 gets kind of complicated. Yeah, M13, better. And the Mii is the net and the ladder. Oh, if black doesn't have that ladder either? Tough luck, I guess. Every time in your case, like you don't have. That means that white's got the stones on the left and the right. Like you just don't have stones anywhere. That's too bad. Okay, yeah, so let's go back to the cool one. Yeah, so white can't do that, so he's gonna play here. And this gets into one of the coolest variations that you'll probably see. Black Atari. Yeah, Hilbert. That's funny. Okay, black wants to kill these two stones, but white has an Atari. An Atari. Let's just enjoy this variation. It's pretty complicated, so just view it as entertainment. Okay, so white's got a dumpling here, and now black is gonna play this net shape. And white doesn't have enough liberties to jump out, so he has to play this kind of nasty move here, right? If he jumps, he's just gonna die, so he's gotta do that. Black is just going to keep maximum pressure on these stones. And then he's gonna make a net again. He could just kill the three stones on top right. Oh, right now? Yeah, he could. But then these are going to be forcing, right? So it's going to be crazy influence anyway. But this turns out to be crazy influence too, but let's just take a look at it. So we make a net again. You might be right. Always keeping maximum pressure on these stones. Still white has to answer. Still white has to answer. All these are sente. And then black captures. Yeah, so white killed 13 stones on top, but nobody likes white, right? And this sequence actually has a name. It's called Kaizen's Heavy Plastering, because I guess an amateur Japanese player worked this entire thing out in the 1780s, and so it's named after him. He wasn't actually a pro, but he worked this thing out. Yeah, so it's game deciding influence. The game's over now. Um, but that was a pretty fun detour, right? That's why Miyamoto's kind of cool. All that just to show why some of the reasons why white is playing here. Okay, so now back to the real game. Should white be playing on the top or on the left? What do you think's bigger? I kind of gave away that white's not going to help this A-stone yet. I guess not. Left. Okay, we've got one vote for the left. Good. And where do we play on the left? How do we know how far to go? C9. Good. And how did you come up J14? That's way too that's way too high. Black's just gonna live under it, and then you're gonna be angry again, Vincent. Yeah. So how he came up with this is that he's leaving himself a two-space extension for safety, right? So that's good. So if white were to play on the top, it would be around here. But the problem with this is now black will play on the left. Again, he's going to use that same rule of needing a two-space extension. So, A is going to be his follow-up. Yeah, nowadays it probably would be high, but I think Miyamoto is giving the commentary kind of from the perspective of how they would have played at the time. So black would play here to leave a two-space extension. Does anyone see an issue with white's position here? Yeah, all of white's stones are biased towards the top of the board. Good, Hilbert. Black has stones, on the right, on the left, on the bottom. So black's opening is successful in this case. So that's why white goes over here. That allows black to play on the top. So how do we choose where to play on the top for black? Same ideas again, essentially. Where's the right spot? J17. Good. Yeah. And again, we're just making sure we have enough room um, towards both sides. And now white has to decide which direction. And he plays from this direction, which is actually correct. If he goes from this direction, when black extends here, the thing is white has an Ogema Shimari, the large knight Shimari, not the small one. And that's going to open all sorts of Aji up at like A. So now white kind of wants a move at B now. That would be normal to defend there, but that's too slow. So that's why this is the correct direction. Yeah, true. And now something interesting happens. I think this whole game is interesting. Something else interesting happens now. Normally we would just thinking about extending with this A stone, but he doesn't. He decides to attack R5, which has been sitting there. And Miyamoto's hypothesis for why this is he thinks that if black extends, white can get a forcing move here, threatening something on the right side. Black's proper response is here. White's going to help these stones out and can continue attacking and growing like this. And black kind of needs to keep helping these guys. So white's controlling the flow of the game now. So Shusaku wanted to attack first, and he's also thinking that having one stone up there at A is better than nothing. Like if he just plays this first and then white gets something up there, that might be a lot more difficult. So he has the one stone and then he goes away. White plays something of an unusual move here as well. And it's all because he wants to get Sente to play A. The normal move would be here, right? Black is going to respond on the fourth line to keep the pressure up. White needs to get out. This is like a standard move here. Black would respond. This is basically like a set sequence. Q7. For black, Q8. Yeah, so if you play P8, Vincent, that's what your opponent's going to do. But I'm not covering that. So this is like the proper way, right? And then white can, like, say white takes Sente to attack that. This is black's proper attacking move. White has to respond. Not a whole lot of shape here. There's a weakness at A. Black will play here, which really helps that weakness. And white is not too happy with the shape of these stones. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to get a little better shape so he can take Sente. So let's see what happens. Black plays the same thing, but now white is going to try and make some shape here. Make an exchange there. Make an exchange there. And this type of exchange is normally not good, right? So it's clear that white is just trying to help himself enough so that he can get Sente to play this. And he feels better about this shape than the one we saw previously. So that's his idea. And now he thinks that black is going to jump, but he doesn't. Shusaku again changes, he does something different. He plays on the bottom here. This nice big move. So probably what he was thinking, again, is, if he jumps and jumps, then white can take Sente to get this really big move. So he's trying to take that away. And again, yeah, he's treating this as like an Aji stone. As you get stronger, you'll start to realize that this A move actually has some effect on this white group. That A stone is going to help if black, continues attacking that white group. So white actually continues. He wants to help his stones over here. Another way to put it, Vincent, is that, which I think you'll really agree with, is that even if black can't kill white, there's no way white can come into the bottom when his marked group is weak, right? There's just no way. So he's got to help this because he wants to come in here. Yeah, so he does this for now. This is a natural way to try to help this group. We're obviously not going to be settling on the side, right? So notice, I don't know, probably a lot of Q players here would do something like this, like, okay, gotta live, gotta live. But we're not going to find a happy life on the side here. And we can't get to the corner because that's closed. So we go to the center. Yeah, that's really the only place to go at this point. And it puts pressure on this B stone. So black follows the proverb, answer the cap with the Kema. And Miyamoto shows a cool diagram of why this is necessary. So let me pass. And let's say white plays here. Let's see how this goes. Black's strongest response is like this. Let's try to kill these two stones. When white turns here, there's an aim at a double Atari, so I can't Hane at B. I have to back off one more time. Okay, white's going to get a free Atari. And now white, since he's got so many stones over here, he can double Hane. This is, when you've got a lot of helper stones around, you can do cool stuff. So let's see what happens. When white plays Atari, where's white gonna, or when black plays Atari, where does white respond? This is a shape John Boy is working on making part of his game. Yeah, T8, good. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And now white's all connected and these guys need to come out. But they can't come out. They're actually dead now. If you read this ladder, it barely doesn't work because of the A stone. So black's B stones are dead. Works when I'm playing white. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. After white S6, what is Ruckus talking about? S6. What are you saying now, Ruckus? T10? Okay. but it doesn't really do anything. Yeah, because you have to play T12 before you can. Okay, so where's the real game? Okay, so black just responds. That's just a diagram to show why. And now white plays a probe here. And the reason this is a probe is that white isn't necessarily committing. Yeah, this is a more unusual probe. Normally you think of a probe as an attachment, right? But practically speaking, a probe is any move that you play to try and see how your opponent's going to respond. And so what Miyamoto was saying here is that white is just trying to see how black is going to respond to this. Nice. That's actually really funny. All your moves. He's trying to see how black is going to respond to this. He's not necessarily going to continue, though, locally. Um, and the way the commentary went was kind of funny because it said, but his curiosity was not satisfied because black just did something else. He said, how about I just keep attacking? Oh no, my favorite button. How about I just keep attacking your big group? Yeah, black wins. Yeah, so black just attacks. Now I need to play another move to get rid of that. Okay. Black just keeps attacking the A group, which is interesting. Now, what Miyamoto said is that this feeble response probably didn't even cross Shusaku's mind. He probably didn't even think of this. And we can see the diagram that he hypothesized. So he thinks that, let's say white plays Tanuki to attack on top, and now black tries to attack over here. Um, White can use this A stone really beautifully to help his center group. Sente, Sente. This is the diagram Miyamoto showed. Get Sente over here and then here. And yeah, so black got the bottom, but white is controlling the entire board. Black will never get more territory ever. He's got all the territory he's ever going to get. Tengen and live and win. Uh, Maybe not. I don't know. That looks like a really big white area. Yeah, so he ignored. Isn't that cool? I mean, I would definitely respond to that B stone. But we can see here that Shusaku, despite all the stones he put on the bottom, he's not so attached to it that he thinks that has to be his territory, right? And that's what we do, right? We get really attached. Okay, so white plays over there. And now he's gonna start settling here because it is your territory. Yep, white is just, this is like standard shape to start settling here. Sente too, because if white gets A next, it's just over. Like that group is going to be super strong. So black actually has to play this empty triangle. I know this looks ugly, but this is actually standard. This is like a standard thing. Let me just show that. If white gets this, the attack is over. Or are you talking about if white doesn't do anything? Yeah, the cap is probably not going to work. Like if you do this, there's too much Aji, right? Like there's Aji here, there's Aji there, there's Aji with the attach. So in the end, he would probably have to do something like this. Just remove the side running direction. And yeah, or maybe kick. It's going to be something like that. And then white is just going to have to run. You can, but when you kick, you kind of give white a little head start in his run. a little bit, it seems like. And maybe you still have here. Kick with L3. L3. Well, L3 is not a kick. I don't think you mean L3. I don't think you mean L3. Yeah. This way is just don't help. Yeah, just don't help him. Okay, let's get back to the game. So white's actually satisfied with this for now. And he plays this, which kind of helps both groups temporarily. I wanted BM6. Yep, too bad. White white took it away. So now black finally gets to help this stone. White grows and continues attacking. Grows and continues attacking. There's something else that's interesting to look at here. This is like a standard move, right? But in this case, it wouldn't be very good. And Miyamoto shows some reasons why. Not case 16, but what he thinks is white can attach here in Sente and then attack like this, right? And grow the big area. Case 17 is important though. So like, for example, if white just does this, black has a Tesuji for settling, right? Where's the Tesuji? This is a really good one to know, in my opinion. M17? Not quite. Yeah, M18 actually. Sometimes M17, but this is the more usual one. You can go either direction. So there's two variations here, essentially, Vincent. Let's take a look at both of them. If black pulls back, if white pulls back, black can pull back, and before you know it, you're just pretty settled. Poke K16. So you want to do that like right now? Hilbert. Oh, and you came up with the answer. Nice, Hilbert. Okay, so now I have to figure out how to deal with this. See, that's why I became a Dawn player, so I didn't have to deal with this unreasonable stuff anymore. And you put me on the spot. Just J16? That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's fine, right? These are all connected. Now make a cut. Just keep pushing through. Okay. That's all right. Now laugh. Okay, let's look at the other variation. Well, white can actually kill this stone. Well, we were never not going to be a stick, right? Like, that's what black kind of deserves over here, to be honest. Okay, where's the... Okay, here. Black will use a sacrifice strategy. This is a nice one to know too. White can capture these two, but black will get Sente and Sente. So this is definitely really good for black, right? Like we already got one eye, and there's actually another Gote eye on top because we can Atari at B and then play at C. So we're like done settling. So that's why this bump would be necessary first to remove that M18 Tesuji. So that's why black just jumps out instead of doing L15. L15 isn't really situated to this particular board. Now here Miyamoto said there's only one move. Anyone know where it is? The only move? For black. M15. Isn't white's area getting kind of big on the left? I'll tell you it has to do with the left side. D10. Yep, you are correct. Kind of exploits this relationship, right? And also shoulder hits the low stone. If black just jumps again, now white has a chance to fix this whole thing up. How do we finish this white area? What's the move to finish it? F10, E9. Okay, I want to mark these. F10, E9, E10. Okay, I think you can really learn something nice here, Vincent. D10. Finish it with D10. Okay. So before I reveal the answer, you have to look at, remember, this is a bad relationship, right? The two triangle stones is not a good go relationship. The stone you put down needs to make a good relationship, not only to one side, but to both sides. So that being said, does anyone want to change their answer? Yeah. So Hilbert changes his answer. So take a look here, Vincent. In this case, we've got good shape, good shape. With all of the other ones, okay, we get one good relationship, but we get one bad relationship, which can still be destroyed. How do you connect these stones together? That's a big problem. Cut him fight? How? How do you cut that? You can't. Okay, so this one again, still bad relationship, right? Oh, true, true. It might be too early for black, but we can't assume that the stick's going to be weak forever, right? Later in the game, once it's strong, then you have a hole in your area. So this one again, bad relationship on one side, good on the other, and this one, bad relationship still. So good. I think Honeyboo really learned that concept, or some of you guys have learned it because I've been talking about it for a while. You want to make sure that both sides are a good relationship. Cool. So he comes in right away. Don't make me laugh. And he jumps because he wants to be light. He's playing, this is lighter and faster than A. White plays the Tiger's Mouth Vital Point. And now we see something pretty interesting and high level. Black suddenly starts doing some probing here. And let's see why. So if black connects, white will connect. And okay, black made a modest reduction, but white's all connected. Let's see what Shusaku is able to make happen instead. Well, he actually has a really specific purpose here. So just take a look and see what happens. White extends because he doesn't want to leave a lot of forcing moves. Then black attaches and cross cuts and gets an Atari. And now he connects. And now these three stones can be a target of attack later. I thought that was really, really nice. Okay, well then you're really, really strong. Ignoring some of the moves you suggested earlier. Just kidding. Yeah, so this is pretty cool, right? That's like a really big difference between white just connecting and white being a target of attack. Why did white Hane the other stone? Well, if he doesn't Hane, the 3 stones are getting separated anyways, right? Like this is the Hane is the best chance to try and connect. Probably can't really make it work though. Miyamoto actually didn't show any variations here. He just said white doesn't have that much choice. Oh, I'm sure there's tons of variations, but I don't think white's going to get connected. So did C13 depend on how white responded? I assume so, Hilbert, but I don't know the details of what's going on here, and Miyamoto didn't specify. And there's so many complicated things coming up later that we'll just take a look at those. I know this is going to be a long lecture already. Vincent is ever the skeptic. Okay, so let's see, what is next now? I have to get focused again here. So white actually peeps here, which is pretty interesting. What he's thinking is if he just helps these 3 stones, this looks pretty normal. Uh, black can just attack, and black's going to be the one controlling, right? Helping his stones while attacking. So white's idea is that he wants to attack first, and he starts with the peep. Is C17 working? What does that mean, FW? Is C17 working? Right. I think Itzamna answered that well. I think all the Aji from C17 is gone because there's a Panuki here. Yeah, it was a probe. He, found out where he could get the Aji. Isn't F9 more valuable than J14? J14. Where's J14? J14? I don't... Okay, F9. J14. I'm really confused, Nimbim. Regarding the probe. Oh my god, there's so many comments nowadays. I cannot keep up. It's like... Black would rather F9 than connect at J14. Oh. Yeah. Black actually doesn't connect here because that would be heavy. But he does have to help his stones on top for now, right? Like he can't just let white play A. But connecting at A would be too heavy. So he tries to make Sabaki here. And this is cool. This is something that it is useful to me to see. I would just connect. But the problem is that there can still be like a splitting attack here. So that can be heavy. Black is respecting that white is stronger in this area. So he's just wants to play lightly. That's all he wants to do. So that's what he does. He attaches and extends. He just wants to get something in this area. White, of course, has to play here because that's a big vital point. And the natural shape is A, but again, that's too heavy. So black turns here instead. He's being really respectful of white stones in this area. If he plays here, again, it's kind of heavy, and there's just a double attack. So he turns here, and that helps his group as well, and he's got a possible follow-up, right? M17 opens up if white ignores, right? White does ignore, actually. He plays here. And he's trying to help his A stones, he's trying to help his B group, and he's trying to help his C group. For example, this move defends somewhat against like a threat of black playing it at D. This is a pretty complicated fighting game. So let's see, if white just responds, then black can start over here. So it's pretty slow. And also white doesn't necessarily have to respond on top yet. So let's see what happens. White plays here. We've got a lot of groups going on, but C is strong enough for now. So it's kind of like A against B. And black chooses the really strong turn instead of the knight's move. But let's take a look what would happen if black plays here. One thing is white could just give way, and this would turn into a ko. But it's the kind of ko where if black loses it, like imagine white getting A, that really hurts black too. So he would have to be, it's not like a picnic ko, right? He would have to really consider that before taking that battle seriously. The other thing is that white might just be able to connect here anyway. So black agrees with white, and he leaves that for now, and he comes over here. Now another interesting move that's not that easy to think about. White plays here. Interesting, right? Instead of the Hane. Miyamoto thinks that the reason for that is the Hane will just give black momentum, and perhaps he'll cut here. And he said in the worst case scenario, this could end up being a three-way splitting attack. C doesn't have its base yet, B's getting cut off, and the A group still has weakness too. So white is trying to play a little softer, but we can harass this shape, right? Where's the vital point to go after this shape? Cut directly? That sounds really dangerous. You're talking about like E8? You probably won't have the liberties to get out. 2 cuts. I only see 1 cut. Okay, wait. Where are you guys saying the vital point is? F8. No. D7. Yes. Yeah. It's the little corner of the table shape, right? E7 is the other cut. E7. Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, those will just turn into the same things. Vincent, so like if you play here and white plays here, the problem is you have to be able to get this stone out somehow. And I don't think you'll be able to. If you play here, white will just play there and it's like the same cut. Uh, True, but if you're not gonna cut, then this move's better. Should be better if you're not actually gonna cut. But let's say you do this. That's just so heavy. So heavy. I don't think you can do this. Tawari. What would be the Tawari? Personally, are you talking about like play? Where would you play next? Oh, elsewhere? Okay. I would rather have the stone at D7 in that case, T19. I understand what you're saying. White's move doesn't look that good, but I don't think black's move looks that good either. Sometimes when you do a Tawari, you find out that both sides look like fools. C7. That's not a bad idea. I think that's pretty nice. White will probably Hane. Um, so there's definitely stuff going on there. But black just goes for the, he's not interested in cutting. He just goes for the direct vital point. And no, it's okay. I mean, there, if you're thinking about that, it probably means someone else is interested in it too. Um, I can't always answer every question completely satisfactorily. You know, that's why I'm only 2'd on, but I can do my best. So white wants to do something reasonable here, right? He can't just play that, or A is such an excellent exchange. Um, So he plays here, and this turns into a cool little fight. So let's watch this and see what happens. Stuff is happening. Getting complicated, right? Um, Black Ataris from this direction. You might think about doing this and cutting these 3 stones off, but Black's corner is about to get wrecked, right? So really questionable. So he plays from this side, and notice that both sides have 3 liberties. So right now, White can play A to capture the 3 stones if he so chooses, but he doesn't. He plays here instead, which means Black can play here, and the 4 stones are dead. So why is he doing that? Let's have White try to capture these stones. Black will connect here in Sente. White will have to capture. A5. No, A5 doesn't gain any liberties. B10, good. It doesn't actually die though, but it's really, really close. White has a cool little trick he can do here to live. We'll see that, but it's not worth it. You can push, and then you can play here, threatening to make A and I. If Black really wants to take that I away, then you can Atari, and then you can cut, trying to make use of this shortage of liberties to come underneath, and White can actually connect under. The problem is Black just got super thick on the outside, and he got to keep his corner. So now, Black controls the center. So this wouldn't be that good. Really, these guys have great judgment, right? When I see something like this, I don't know, makes me smile that he's not capturing the stones, and he has a really good reason not to. So he tries to come out instead. So he plays there. He still gets this in Sente. And now let's see what happens instead. Now White is the one attacking Black. So he gave up the 4 stones for having the initiative in the fight, which is really cool. Because now these stones are heavy and that group is still heavy. And, he had to think about this all ahead of time before he decided what he was going to do. And so now Black tries to play like a loose connection over here. And for those of you that watch a lot of Batosai's lectures, what do we not want to happen here? There's one rule that he is really good about emphasizing. When your opponent has 2 weak groups, yeah, never let them connect. Don't let them connect. So we have to do something immediately. And he plays this attachment, which is nice. Black backs off, and White gets to cut. J14 already has J14. Well, he's going for the whole group, right? You're saying why not just cut at J14? Interesting. I don't know. I think if you try to push through with J14, in a sense, you're making a commitment to the A stone, right? Like the A stone might get heavy, and then Black can push that around a little bit and get forcing moves. So I think for now, he's just trying to split on like at a high level and save A for later. But that is an interesting question now that you mention it, Vincent. I hadn't really thought about it. Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking. Um, just to mention it, if black plays here, that's not going to work. White's just going to Hane, and it's still cut. Oh, J11 is really good actually. So what Mr. Yang teaches me normally is like if there's like a two space thing, like say you want to attack A, then you attach to this one, right? You attach to the other one. So to me, it makes perfect sense. And they're just split, right? You can't not be happy with this, Vincent. No way. A particularly looks super weak. Okay, cool. I don't see it either, Ruckus. Um, but yeah, there's so many white stones around. Hey, Tyrannus. Black starts with this B group, though, because he has this Atari from earlier, right? It's a little more clear how to help this. White doesn't want to do the covariation, so he connects. And now black has a good forcing move right here. This is kind of important because it covers the cut. So because he's able to get that, it means he can play here. Normally, if you can't get that, let's say that didn't exist, white could just connect under, right? But since he has this one, white can't connect under. That means he's got to go this way. Black connects solidly. Now black's about to Hane at A. How do we want to defend that? Take a little bit to really look at the situation and try to come up with the best connection. Hey, Dragon. K19. Nope. Yeah, you're on fire today, man. Itzamna. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Sorry if I'm not. The Sixth Dawn agrees with you. Yeah, do you see why this move is good? It's threatening. It makes not only does it fix. Let me switch them so it makes more sense. Not only does it fix A, it allows you to Hane at B strongly, and maybe it'll help the diamond stones. I know. That's exactly why I asked. That's why I asked ahead of time. You wouldn't think of it. You have the strength to find it, but we don't look for it usually. Um, and this ends up making a massive difference later on. Like if assuming white just does like this, which is probably what I would do, or like this, he would probably get owned in the fight that's coming up. This move is really important. We might be able to see that later. Yeah, so he plays there. And let's see, where are we now? Black has to get his group out. That's a free Atari, and it helps, so let's do that. Okay, A group, B group, C group. Good news for black is that it looks like white has a weak group too now. This is going to be like the big fight of the game here. White jumps, he's trying to get his stones out. And black goes for the push and cut. And this is going to turn into a giant fight with tons of variations that we're going to be looking at for a while. If black just plays the RJM move, just defend, then the game is essentially going to go to white, right? White can just, yeah, that's my style. I'm just way too defensive. I play like the proper moves in the middle of a fight. It's not a proper situation. So now white is just strong and it's only black that's the weak one. So we can't do that. Have to fight. So he goes for this. Okay, things are getting pretty complicated. So let's slow down for a second. A is under attack. B is surrounded. And then we've got, you know, these stones right here. Yeah, don't bother. We're probably going to spend like 20 minutes going over the variations here. Um, it's really in depth. So there's a bunch of moves we're going to need to look at for black next. First, he plays this Hane. This is where you shut the book. Yeah, I don't blame you. He plays this Hane, which is the strongest move. Miyamoto says not only is it the strongest move, it's the only move that will keep black in the game. But let's look at the other options. Let's consider A, that looks normal. Let's consider B. Let's consider C, that one takes a liberty from white. And yeah, I think that's all we need to take a look at. So first, with A, C is better than B by far. Yeah, you're probably right about that. If we just play here, this one's the simplest. White can just push through here. If black blocks, white can cut. This is one that I actually could read out in a game if I took the time. Black is dead, right? That one's pretty straightforward. And the only other thing we have to check is, can black do this? But after white connects, there's just way too much aji with A and B. That means that we can rule A out, this move. That's not going to work, so let's get rid of that. If we play B, it looks a little strange, but there's a vital point here because black could peep and get that incente. And also when white plays it, it puts some weaknesses in black, right? So this move is important. From here, black might think about two possibilities. Maybe he plays at A, or maybe he plays at B. If he plays A, white can extend here in Sente just to help his stones. Black has to protect against A. And then now our buddy L18, which wouldn't be there unless we were paying, close attention like white did during the game, it's going to be helpful potentially. Because now this is at least a ko. And the thing is, how about this ko threat? It seems like even if black finishes the ko and, finishes the upper right, the A stones are just going to die, right? They're so heavy. Really, really heavy. So that's one thing that's going on there. So what if we take a liberty? Maybe that will help. In that case, white can get this for free again. But since we played A instead of B, that means we left the R16 stone weak, right? Yeah. That means R16 is weak now. It has a liberty problem. So when we play here, black has to answer like that. And then white has a nice extension here, which makes Mii of B and C to connect or to live. So we can get rid of this B move. B is not going to work. So now let's look at C. That's the most complicated because it takes a liberty. White's not going to bother doing A anymore because black can just Atari because there's a liberty gone. So in this case, it's going to turn into a capturing race. White's going to have to come out. Black's going to have to come out. Just try to get liberties. Try to get liberties. Okay, now we've gotten to the point where we've got 4 liberties. We're not going to get any more. Black can play Tesuji here. This is the best to try and limit the liberties. Again, we're going to have to look at a bunch of possibilities here. And I just want to mark them ahead of time to make sure that I don't miss them. Actually, let's do B, C, and D. Okay, so the basic variation, let's say white just goes. We're just trying to, we have 4 liberties here, so we need to keep white at 3 if possible. We can get this Atari and Sente, which is important because that means there's no weakness at A. And then we can turn here and see how white has only 3 liberties. So that means black is dead. Oh no, sorry, white is dead. That means A is going to win the fight against B. That's one variation, but that's not the full story. It's worth noting that this Hane doesn't help. How does black answer this Hane? This is pretty classic. This Tesuji is so famous it has a name, right? What's the name? Okay, and next? Oh, I'm familiar with Tombstone, but maybe it has those other names too. Yeah, T17 to keep the liberties low. And you can just follow this whole thing. Yeah, I'm going to show that too, Vincent. It doesn't really change anything. Okay, so the reason black sacrificed 2 stones was to keep the liberties really low, and still white didn't gain any liberties, so it's fine. Vincent asked, why doesn't white do this, right? Well, if black connects, you can't do A because that's a snapback anyway, so nothing's changed, right? Yep, the names are, you can see there, Shusaku and Showa. So you still have to play here anyway, Vincent. You see that? Same deal. Oh wait, what am I talking about? You can't do anything, it's just over. Silly me. Yeah, so R15 is not gonna have much effect. I can tell you, it's kind of funny, guys. Maybe it's just me, but when I'm reviewing something, my reading level goes like to 20Q. It's really, really weird. There's just so much you're trying to keep track of. It goes to, yeah, to Vincent reading level. Okay, so doesn't it seem like that's good for black then because black won? Unfortunately, it's not as simple as that though. For example, let's say white just plays B, this peep again. These stones are so weak. And now take into consideration that A is Sente for the fight, right? Because A takes a liberty. With A Sente, this marked black group it has to be dead, right? It can't not be dead. So that's one problem. Another problem is, what about this? What about these stones? I think black's going to want to answer that. But that means this Atari is Sente. Let him, yeah, let him die. But if that Atari Sente, now we can do this same sort of sequence, but something is different now. Because when white comes out here, remember last time we used the A Atari to protect 018, but now we have this problem. So we have to use our Atari for this. And now when we do that, white has this because we no longer have A. We already used it up on B. So that's not going to work. So ouch. So that's a problem. And finally, depending on what happens, white might even decide to play here. Now with this one, Let's see, how did this go? Notice white can't connect at A right now. That's kind of cool. That would be connect and die. So depending on what happens, white might be able to let black have this, but at least he got to do something there, right? So that's like an option. Instead of white N6, probably mean N16. N6? Oh, N6. P18. Oh, you want to, okay. Can I get more liberties? So the question now is, how does black get out? Yeah, how do how do we get out of this, dragon? Let's see. You have to tell me, man. You're the 6th Don. Um, like what about this peep? Can we do that? And then like, I don't know. I'm just looking at it really simply, but it seems like something like that might work. I doesn't care if N6 lives. Okay, yeah, if you want to settle things amicably, you live, I live. Okay, yeah, because you're killing this though, right? Yeah, that could be pretty interesting. Like, okay, you live with B, I live with C, but I kill A, and then probably you're gonna kill D. Really complicated game. So much stuff going on. Okay, so Raikuzan said you can get out without a peep. How do we do that? Give me your sequence. N6. Okay, N6. L6. Oh yeah, wait, does this work? Okay, L8. And now you're gonna Atari 2 stones. M11. Does this work? Extend. Yeah, it works. Cool. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. It's like even with all the diagrams that Miyamoto put and that I'm showing, there's probably 10 times that many, right? Like there's just so much to look at. Okay, so no, this is just a game that they played together. It's not a castle game or anything. We haven't seen any of the castle games yet, actually. Okay, so that means all that analysis was to rule out A, B, and C. Yeah, you can in a couple weeks. We're going one by one. So if you want to see the old ones, you can take a look at the YouTube channel on my profile. They're all recorded. We'll get to the ear-reddening game eventually. Okay, so now we're in this fight here. Black plays a strong move, and white's going to come through here. It's worth mentioning that if white plays this nasty kind of move to just try and get out, it's different now because when black plays here, he can come out like this, right? So it's not a semi-AI like the earlier diagram we saw. It's different now. So that's why white has to come through here. Crazy fight going on. Black has to cut here. You may be tempted to capture these 2 stones, but there's a reason this doesn't work. White connects, black connect, white peep, black capture. White will try to surround black. Getting surrounded. White try to come out. Black blocks. Let's see, how did this work now? Push is sente. Cut is sente. It's Atari. This A stone is really important. Let's take a look at how this happens. It's the shortage of liberties on these guys, right? So what does that mean we can do here? What can we play because we've got A? Yeah, double Hane. Good. And black can Atari, but now black can't capture at A because then we'll be capturing 3 stones, right? That won't work. So 4 stones. Sorry. Bad counting. T16. T16. Well, black's going to play here, so I don't know why T16. White plays here. Now, if black really wants to try and kill white, notice these stones are dead. Like, if B lives, A is dead. I don't think there's a ko, but I'll go back in a second if you still think so. So white is just trying to live, and black is trying to take the eyes. But Atari... White doesn't have 2 eyes yet, but at this point, once white descends here, he can either go underneath or he can play C. So white's alive, which means black is dead. So where do I need to go back to see the supposed ko instead of S16? T. Oh, you want to do that type of ko. This. I see. Okay. Is there any way to avoid that? I mean, this is already enough reason to throw this variation out for black, in my opinion, but this is interesting. Is there a way to avoid this? What if we play this one? Does that change anything? That doesn't change anything, does it? Still probably going to be ko. Yeah, it's probably a waste of a ko threat. Out of topic question. Okay, yeah, let me make sure we get back to a good spot before I look at what you asked, Vincent. Where's the tree? The tree's still going strong. Maybe Dragon can answer your question, and I'll continue. Okay, so this is the fight, right? Double Hane wrong, maybe. Which double Hane? This one? Just S16. Oh, cut first? Oh. R18. Can't you turn this into the same thing? T16. Oh, I think it turns into the same thing. But anyway, black doesn't want to stake his entire group and his corner on the ko, so that's why black plays here rather than trying to get these 2 stones. It's not the 2 stones that are super important. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go back to your question later, Vincent, if I can. White cuts. Black has to save those. White has to save those. Black plays here. Okay, so what's going on here now? White can't connect at A right now. That's not going to work. But he finds a good sequence here. Plays Atari, and then he pushes. So now he's got Mii A or B. Let's see. So if he plays A right now, um, black can come out like this. So what he's trying to do is he's pushing first, and now he's prepared. So black forces here quickly, and then takes this side, and white gets that side. Since white prepared with A, now he would be able to connect, and there's nowhere for black to go. So that's pretty cool. White found a nice Miai, so that means he killed the A stones. That means the B stones are alive. Um, Black is going to take his Sente Atari while he can. It's really important to make sure you do that before these 4 stones disappear. So we get that. And now we cut. That was important, the order there. White will capture those, otherwise black can capture with A. Okay, and now this group, white could still pull out with A. So black comes out here. And now that's pretty much the end of the fight. Isn't that magic? Yeah, black somehow saved the one we thought was definitely going to die. But white saved everything too. So we're pretty much going to be into endgame from here. Let's see if now's a good time to look at Vincent's question. Okay, he's asking D18, E18, B18. Oh, I think I know. I think I know the answer to your question. It's not often that I actually know the answers to Vincent's questions. Let me find the next move first, though. I don't think it's Ko. It shouldn't be Ko. Okay, the fight's over. White gets back to here. He wants to take care of this. So we're going to start from there. But let's look at what Vincent's talking about. He wants to make a Ko up here. But the problem is when white's so strong, white can play here, right? A would make B fake, so you have to answer. And then you can just play here. And you can do that. And there's nowhere to go. There's too many white stones around. So in this case, it's not a Ko. When white's not strong on the outside and can't do this, then it's a Ko, yeah, because then you would play like this. But white won't allow white won't be so nice to black in this case. Okay, so white's settling over here. That's Sente for the cut at A. So black has to do that. Just endgame stuff now, but some interesting stuff too. White plays here. That's huge, right? If you compare that to black playing a move at A, this slide is really big. Black blocks. White plays here. And now black gets a chance to save his stones over here, which is pretty big. So Miyamoto wondered about, he said this would be really big for white to play here. The problem is now black can try this, and it's not that easy to actually capture this stone with a move like this. There's like Aji at A, B, C, just lots and lots of Aji. So he played solid here, but that lets black play here. Let's see what happens. White descends, black jumps. White's about to connect under, but he plays this bamboo stealing Tesuji first, right? It's at the point where black's bamboo joint would be. It's common vital point, threatening to cut through at A. He gets that in real quick because that helps his A area possibly, and then he connects under. So could white do anything better here? What if we try to kill these? This actually won't work, unfortunately. Black can just play Really straightforward here. And white can't surround with A or B because it's too weak. So he has to play a surrounding move that doesn't actually take a liberty away. And it seems like black's ahead by a liberty in this fight. So unfortunately, he didn't have a choice. Black got to save those stones in Sente, which is pretty big. And then he gets to come back here anyway. So that's kind of nice. Um, what looks like the biggest area now on the board to you guys for endgame? Good, Hilbert. Upper right corner. You are correct. But he wants to get the Aji in first. So he pushes here first because that's going to create some Aji. Then he does the attach. Good order. And we can even Hane here. That's pretty cool. So similar to one of the variations we saw earlier, actually. Um, the shape is too weak to do this sort of thing, right? There's not enough liberties. We can see why white made sure to push first. So we played like that. Okay, now I have to make sure I don't screw the tree up because this is a move that I kept not getting right when I was preparing. So give me a moment to think. What is going on now? 018. Nope. Feel free to keep giving ideas, though it might jog my memory. J5. Nope. Oh, right. He plays here. I always remember it, right? Like the instant before you do your little hint thing. He tests here. He wants to see how white's going to answer. White answers here. It might seem like, oh, let's cut that. The problem is you're not really going to gain much because black can peep here. That's Sente, and then white can Atari, 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 and do that sort of thing. So white knows that. So he just answers strongly here. Okay, so right. Now black plays over here. He's trying to get some thickness that he might be able to use like in this A sort of area. White decides that it's a little too submissive to answer at B, I guess. So he plays here, like maybe preparing a monkey jump or some Aji in black's right side. That gives white this Panuki though. And white has A. He starts trying some stuff over here. It's just kind of interesting. Black backs off. White gets to capture, and white has to connect. So there's actually a really interesting variation too here. Like what if black tries to save this? White can Atari, and then can play here in Sente, and then he can play this beautiful empty triangle. And there's a fight going on here, and let's see how it goes. Black can play here, Sente, here, here, and black died, but the thing is, at any time, black can play, let's just show it earlier actually. Black can play here first, right? and white will play there. And now if we do the same thing, doesn't work anymore for white because he can't play A. So black is actually fine. He killed these. But the reason he's not doing that is because when you give white um, A, that enables white to get this big endgame Hane at B, which I know that seems really, really subtle. I should actually go back and show here. So like, for example, if white tries to do this Hane now, this is a really big move actually, right? So if we want to do this for endgame. The problem is black can Hane, Atari, um, start squeezing here, make a ko shape. That's Atari on A. So white has to capture. And now with P19 there, black can play here, and the two cornerstones are captured. So I know this is really subtle, but A is a really big endgame move. And believe it or not, the reason black is playing A instead of B is all to not let white get that C. It's kind of crazy, right? I think it's kind of crazy at least. And the variation we just looked at would allow white to get that. So that's why he just backs off a bit. Okay. Remember how black got thick over here? So white did some stuff in Sente, but now he comes back and fixes here because there's a lot of Aji. If he doesn't do anything, black could play here. And if we try to kill black, it's going to be pretty unreasonable. So many Sente. We can come out and split. And considering that there's an Atari at A and there's also a cut at B, this seems way too dangerous. So that's not good. So probably we would have to play here. But now black can connect. How do we connect? M2. M2 is kind of bad style. M1 is nice. Yeah, M1 or N1. This is the one Miyamoto showed. Just play here. This works. Spender's idea works too. Same thing. A, B, Mii. The reason your move Ruckus isn't the best is because when white connects and you play here, now you would probably rather have A at B for the liberties, right? So A is not quite as good. M3. That will work too, but no reason to give up a stone if you don't have to, right? You can still connect under, but you give up a stone. And you're going to give white a stone at A, which will help. So it works, but you're better off just going underneath. And then if he connects, you connect. Don't give him capture or anything like that. So that's why white is playing here. Okay. Going strong so far. I don't want to break the tree in endgame. So let's see what's next. Right. We can get this in Sente. And then we can Atari here. Notice that this Atari is aiming at A, because if black were to get A next, then B and C would become Mii. So black or white actually connects here, even though you might expect him to connect here. But this one is stronger for the monkey jump and the endgame and stuff. Oh 08, 08. Oh, you wanna? Are you're trying to get these guys, right, Dragon? Is that what you're talking about? Okay, yeah, we're gonna see that. Good eye. For now, white connects. And can't actually, but almost. Let's look at it. First, black plays Atari. There's a subtle order thing going on here. Like if you play here, white will definitely connect, or I mean capture, and then this move doesn't have that much meaning. But when you play here, white has a certain desire to play at A because that puts pressure on this stone. So indeed, Ito Showa actually does play here because he wants to put pressure on this A stone. Um, he could capture, but then that just kind of makes this a bit free. Wow, so many comments. Why not 08 first? So he gets this, and then he gets 08. That's what happens in the game. So Miyamoto said that was proper order. He gets that. And now you guys want to cut, but P8? P8. Oh, I didn't think about P8. I doubt P8 works either. I just looked at A. Um, let me click the move first. Click the move first. Okay, let's look at this way first. This won't work because white's not going to save the one stone. He's just going to come out. Okay, so we're out. We can't cut white yet, but I want to look at Raikuzan's idea. He wants to play it like this. What do we do? 07? What's the move? Has to be here, right? Okay, yeah, so we're gonna connect. Yeah, we're connected. Q7? Oh, just like that. Oh, yeah, that's fine too. Great. Yeah, so we actually can't cut that yet, but I'm glad you guys noticed this Aji, because we have to keep evaluating this, right? As the stones in the A area change, we always have to be evaluating this cut. Otherwise, we could find ourselves surprised and losing a bunch of stones. Black plays here for now, Sente Endgame. Interesting to note, Miyamoto pointed out that it would be Sente for white too, if he pushes and plays here, because now black is dying. So that's a little double Sente there. Okay, let's see. What is next? Remember how I said if we give white A, that gives him B? So we ended up doing that as black. But he plays here now. And so the pro commentator was he considered these two moves like as miai for points. Normally when you talk about miai, you think about life, connection, making an eye, something like that. But pros think about miai for points as well. So since white's going to get A, black plays this B1. And it's kind of fair because both sides get one. Black's gonna fix here, get as many points as he can. Okay, so white takes this. That means black gets to have this. This is pretty big actually, because he gets, like this is all black's right to do now. He gets to scoop a lot of that out in Sente. So that's pretty nice. And finally he comes back to extending here. White answers. It's not that easy to do stuff in the center, right? And we'll see why. You can basically just watch the game from here and see how little they get there. Let's evaluate again since some changes happened there. Let's just make sure this still isn't working. Okay, white's still going to be getting out, right? so we're fine. Let's see, what's next? He does this in Sente. And then he plays here. Black jumps in. This is why it's hard to get these points. So they just kind of trade blows here, but not a whole lot of points for either side. But something just changed now, though. This stone helps. Yeah, it is. So suddenly we see this strange looking move. Like, what is that? But this is important. This is protecting the connection. Um, because now this guy is prepared to cut. Right, this is here. So white's cut off. So that's why he plays this. He's making sure that black can't cut through there. Okay, so let's see. Too much pressure of having an unbroken tree. All right, he plays here now. So he's threatening to connect under, which would be pretty big. White doesn't want that. So he just blocks that off for now. It's endgame stuff. Endgame stuff. Yeah, a lot of a Go game at a really high level is just not letting them get what they want to get. Kind of read what they're trying to do, and then you just don't let them have it usually, unless you're like Lee Chang-ho from the 90s. You just let them have it and win anyway. Okay. What is next? Capture this. Try to make some points here. Save this guy. Atari, this is bigger than it looks because if white gets A, that means B is a point. It also means that black's going to owe a connection move later. So this is pretty big. This is right, I think. Yeah, that would be a Hikaru moment, wouldn't it? Like the Sai versus Toya Koyo game. Sente. Get a point if black P8. You tell me, Dragon. I'm just at this point I'm just focused on not breaking the tree. This is Sente. Sente. And here. This is kind of interesting to me. This move looks strange to me, so I took a moment to figure out what was going on here. Like this one looks weird, right? But if he plays here, then black can take these points, and there's another point that can be taken. So white would play there. But like this, Oh wait, I was about to break the tree. That would have been bad. Now black can only get that many points and it's Gote, so kind of important there. Black has Sente now, so he's going to use it. Black G8, G8, G8. There's a stone at G8, G12. Yeah, with G12 though, like G12, then white plays, then black plays, and black gets the same amount of points in Gote as we just saw. So it's a matter of Sente and Gote. Black is going to use all his Sentes now. Sente, 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 Sente. Let's go back then, because there's definitely a difference. Okay, here, black can play here, right, Vincent? And the triangles are the points I already have, and I can get another point later, the square point. Now, with this one, white can play A later, and black would lose a point. So like if black takes the same amount of points, it would be Gote. Do you see it now? Like if I want this many points as black, I have to play another move, right? Otherwise, white can play a move and H11 will not be a point. Yeah, it's subtle, but they won't miss something like that. Especially with how much time they spent back then. Their endgame, from what I've heard, tends to be better than what we see now in pro games, not because they're stronger, just because of time limits. Okay, so Sente, 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 Sente. Do all the Sentes. Is that all of them? I believe it is. So now he comes back for this point, but now it's Gote. Sente. Sente, almost missed that one. So now the only thing left is this one. So let's take that one away. We have to make sure that we don't get cut. So we took that point away. Now the last thing is these two ko's. Black gets to have one, white gets to have one. And that is the game. Oh, came in under 2 hours. Yeah, perfect tree. 5 perfect trees now. Why doesn't white just resign here? I don't know. It seems to me that when the game is relatively close, like within a few points, it's just like polite to finish it. I don't know. That's how I feel at least. If you're 10 behind, sure, that's probably polite to resign. But if you're 2 behind and you resign, it almost seems like you're throwing a fit or something. I know it's just your perspective, but oh, so many comments. Yeah, so who won this game? Shusaku won by 2 points. I always get confused, John. The person just has to tell me to pass. And then I'm like, okay, pass an extra stone. I don't really understand it. Old Lee Chingho games? Maybe. Just search for some of his games from the 90s, like on Gokifu or something. Man, so many comments. Can't read. Is that the Shusaku? What is what the Shusaku? Oh yeah, this is Honimbo Shusaku. Um, some of you might not know that he wasn't given the title Honimbo until actually he died. Until after he died. He died kind of young, unfortunately, and then they gave the title to him. So this is like his real name, I think. Um, I don't know about that, Vincent. I know the moment you're talking about, but I don't know if it corresponds to something that was real in that game. Yeah, I'm not sure how the Torajiro. Shusaku might be the name he took as a Go player. Okay, so many comments. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the game. I know parts of it got really in depth. I can't read fast, that's why I'm stuck at Tudon. Alright, thanks for joining, guys. It was fun. Let me see what the next game is for next week. I'm surprised I didn't break the tree, given that I didn't prepare until this morning. Let's see. Oh, the next one's super short again. Do you guys want to do a Wednesday one again? So we can go faster? Yeah, no problem, Spender. No? Tyrannus doesn't want to do a Wednesday one? Well, you can watch the videos though, right? Who wants it on Wednesday? Okay, I think mostly. Yeah, we've seen some Shusaku losses already, Megan. You can go back through the videos and check them out. Okay, yeah, let's do one on Wednesday because the next one's short. It won't take me long. And then actually after the next one, we're gonna be dealing with when Chusaku meets Genan Inseki, the guy he plays the ear reddening game with. We're almost there. What is your plan for when you finish the book? Oh, I don't know. I'm counting on you guys to give me ideas for what you think would make good lectures, besides what I'm doing right now. Let me stop the stream so the video doesn't go too long.